Alright, good Friday evening and welcome to PreciseAlgorithmTrading.com. It's Friday, February 23rd, 2024, and I'm going to do a weekly wrap up here. It's been a week or two since I was able to do the longer term charts because I was traveling, but we got them tonight, so let's dive right in here to our automated trading systems. This is the Dow futures, and we're experiencing a little pullback. We may have gotten a decent trade. No, we didn't either. So that was yesterday. These are the trades for today, and those are all losers that contribute to this little pullback right here. But this is what it looks like since 11/22 of 22 until today. So this is what a nice upward sloping equity curve looks like. And you just really have to hold on through these dips. So right now we're experiencing some nice new higher peaks in our equity curve, and that's what the new green dots are, and we've had a lot of them recently. Then we've got the Russell. This is since 10/23 of 22 until today, and we're having a little pullback there as well, but it's a nicely sloping equity curve as well. And today's trades, 223 right here, a little back and forth. And again, all these systems we show are with 3 contracts, but those can be modified. The NASDAQ here has been on this. This is just really one big pullback, but we've had some. It's kind of like a pullback and a little pullback up and a pullback and a little pullback up, and now we're getting a little pullback up again. And today's trades look like this, so they're decent for that pullback up, but we still got some ways to go to make up for some of these, all these red trades lately. So, but in the long term, this is since 11/22 of 22. So, again, this one goes sideways to down for periods of time. I think that was a month and a half back here, and we've been into this one for a few weeks now. So we're looking for that bounce, and one of these days it's going to come out of the blue, and we'll get it, and it'll be just like it has been through all this other time. The markets themselves, let's get into that. So the SPX today went up just barely anything, 1.77 points. Yesterday, if you recall, was the big up day based on the earnings of NVIDIA over really the night before, and that just moved all the markets really. The Dow went up 62 more points today. These are both. Let's go ahead and they hit all-time highs today. The Dow Industrials at 39,282. I said it the other day. It seems like we're going to get 40,000, and maybe not an all-in-one move, but I think we're just cruising to that, and that's going to be a psychological level that people want to see it get there. Institutions might be wanting to get it there, and once it gets there, I think it's going to probably generally serve as resistance, because I've seen it too many times. When we broke 30,000, it worked like that too. And people still like to watch the Dow, and they hear about the Dow, and the majority of people in the world, or at least in like just regular everyday living, kind of they think they know what the Dow is, or they've heard about it enough, and they're like, great, 40,000 on the Dow. So, and that's probably going to create some fear of missing out, or FOMO, and it might drive the price beyond it for a bit, but that'll be just because everybody and their brother might be jumping into the stock market, and by then it'll be too late. That's usually a great sign for a top. All right. The Russell went up 2.85 points today, or barely anything, and the IYT or transports went up. Well, up here, the transports themselves went up 0.62%. So this is I mean, it's a lot of chop lately back and forth, but this is a decent move higher. And one of these, I would assume that the breakout to the upside, maybe not. The longer term trend doesn't appear to be up. Let's look at the weekly. Oh, it is. So sometimes my longer term trend indicator here, the 150, isn't accurate of the weekly chart. Most of the time it is. But generally speaking, now this thing I would expect to continue and break out to the upside at some point, and I'll draw it on here. This box is actually moving sloping up and sideways, but I'd say a breakout above this level at some point. We already faked out that time back here, so I wouldn't trust that without it breaking above that level. So, but this is literally a buy signal yesterday, and it's some follow through today. So I'm gonna get that off of here just because it's noisy. But at some point, I expect this to break that box. All right. And oil today went down quite a bit. 2.6%, 2.28% on the exchange traded fund, the USO. Everything's still above the 30 period moving average. This is just noise as far as I'm concerned. Even if we break down below, I mean, that's our stops way down here. This would be a condition possibly where, we've broken trend to the downside here. We've had higher highs and higher lows. This thing's been seesawing back and forth. This is a rounding top pattern. They happen a lot. And so potentially we could go down further from here. And since literally at this point I am profitable in this position, I could go ahead and pull my stops. And it would be to this level that I've got marked out right here. So I could pull my stop. I'm not going to do that at the moment because I actually think we're going to have a lot more upside here. And so that's why I have the alert in place. If it breaks that, then I know it broke that stop on the hourly chart, and I can reevaluate, live, in the middle of a day or something like that while the thing's going. And if I decide to kill it, I just will. But really, I'm not. This thing's not profitable enough at this point for me to really entertain that too hard. Realizing that I may give back some or all of the profit, and I don't expect this thing to really go down from here and take this stop out on the daily chart. But it's very possible it could do that on this hourly chart. So just got to be willing to take that risk or decide to back off and just take the trade off the table and re-enter on really a buy signal either on the hourly chart, or if we get one on the daily, we could do that as well. So I know I just talked out of both sides of my mouth. Well, I'm kind of laying out the possibilities, and I'll make my own personal decision at some point. But I wanted to kind of go through that logic with a live trade that's like this is. I expect this target to get hit up here at some point, but there's no real. I mean, I could probably work out some Fibonacci logic to timing to get it out up there, but I'm not real interested in doing too much of that. It's really just a evaluation of how profitable am I and do I want to give that back. Um, we'll see. By the end of the weekend, I might decide to go ahead and pull that stop to there because it's all the way down here now. So, all right, that's oil. Gold. Gold had this breakout the other day and a pullback, kind of both of those candles, that breakout and that pullback, and then we had a following candle that was even more of a pullback, and now we've had follow through to the upside. So this is literally one of those situations where maybe you don't. I didn't like this pattern because it looks like a rounding top to me, but everything else looks like it's generally pretty all right with this chart. And I could have basically went ahead and taken the trade, set my stop either here or here, probably there, and today we'd be up. And I didn't do that, and that's sometimes what it takes for the trade to actually work out. And I'll watch this thing just take off, and it'll just do it without me. It is what it is. We got plenty of other positions, so and I think that's really it for the markets. Let's look at the VIX since we've been doing this. So the VIX pulled back quite a bit after this big pop the other day, and we've had a couple pullbacks out of the Bollinger Bands and then back in, and now we're back right pretty much at the mean of what the VIX is. But we've been off to the races over here, and that's kind of flying in the face of some of normal logic for what would a lot of times happen with the VIX. So maybe this 40,000 level on the Dow is really going to be a driver. That, like I say, psychological level can play a lot of tricks in the market. So we'll just continue to watch this. I almost guarantee, though, that when this does fall and this spikes, that we're going to see something more along the lines of, maybe what we're seeing here is one of these, and we pull back, and then we're going to get some waves, even another pullback. But at some point, we're going to get one of these, and it's going to correct because this thing has gone basically way too far for way too long. And at some point, it has to basically come back, correct, get everybody, somewhere back in the middle, get some bears excited, take the bulls back behind the woodshed, and start the process all over again. And finally, for our weekend review, we'll go to stockcharts.com and type in bullish. And we'll look at the bullish percent indexes, and here's the industrials. Went down 4.35% today. Not unexpected after a big rally day like yesterday. The NYA went up by 0.77%. The transports flipped to that new column of X's pretty with a lot of exuberance yesterday. The NASDAQ down 0.8%. The S&P 500 up 0.91%. The S&P 100 minus 1.54%, and the NDX minus 3.03. So really, that mixed market stuff going on there just shows us that we're not too bullish and we're not too bearish, and that's probably a recipe to stay relatively in a tight range like this has been, and until we start to see some real volatility kick in, that's probably what we're still in for a while, unless we start seeing some big bullish candles to hit that 40,000, and then that's really volatility in a bullish way. So, and with that, I will leave you for tonight. So take care, good trading, have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.